Hi, this is KSP with Tape, and today I'm flying to the moon. I'm flying my own spacecraft to the moon. I think that's how you actually pronounce it, moon. And I'm doing it Permadeath Style, which just basically means if I die, I die, and if the mission fails, yeah. And I will be editing a bit and shortening the video, or it'll just be boring and tedious for everyone. But yeah, maybe it'll go wrong, maybe it won't, and maybe I'll send a rescue craft if it does, if that's possible, or maybe it'll die. So I'll just show you the ship. Yeah, I've named it Morpheus 1 after the character in The Matrix, although I'm pretty sure he's named after some kind of Greek mythology, or something to that effect, I'm not entirely sure, but most of the things on that are. Anyway, okay, the main part of the ship is this top stage with the Mk1 lander can for one man. I'm only taking one man to the moon because that's simple, and it's just got this half fuel tank and a LV909 engine with some medium landing struts, ladders, kind of generated parachute and things, and then at the end it all breaks off and just the pod comes back. So yeah, and hopefully he'll survive that. If I remember to turn time accelerator off or it breaks everything. Yeah, so that'll be what's landing on the moon, with just one person, probably Jebediah coming. This is our transfer stage. It has a little bit of RCS, and it's basically got two of these tanks with 4 nuclear engines, which will push it all the way to the moon and do everything I need. And then I've got the main stage, and before any comments fly in, I know these don't actually, these aerodynamic things don't actually make it more aerodynamic, they just make it heavier and actually increase drag apparently. Yeah, well, I just like how it looks, and sometimes it has to be a bit aesthetic, although, yeah, it's not a brilliant looking ship. So basically it's a kind of a Falcon Heavy sort of setup, with 2 booster stages that break off, leaving a main stage at around 13,000 meters, with enough RCS on this to turn the whole ship, without breaking into that tank too much. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, although I should probably set up action groups, I've got to do that, just for aerials and things. I was going to put an escape system on, but that sounded boring. Well, no, it didn't sound boring. I don't know why I said that. It just didn't work. So there isn't an escape tower because it's quite a heavy thing, and I couldn't get it to work for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's just a heavy pod. Yeah, so that is the craft, and I will hand you over to post-commentary me now and see you out on the launch. Thank you, in-game commentary me. Yeah, this is me doing post-commentary, and we're about to launch. Now, just a heads up, most of this video is in 4 times accelerate, or it would have been a 45-minute video to the moon, which would have been boring. I cut it down to a little below 20 minutes, but yeah, I wanted to kind of keep it as good a video as possible without just dragging on. So I slow down for bits I think are nice to watch, but most of it is in 4 times time accelerate, just to kind of move it along. And especially the launch, because I'm sure if you've probably seen and done a lot of launches. And yeah, I think yeah, now I move into 4 times time accelerate. Like I say, it's like a Falcon 9 setup with the 2 booster stages. I do my usual process. I cut the Rockamaxes from overheating at 100 meters per second. I do a slight turn at 4,000 meters, and my gravity turn at around 13. Now, in this, I actually usually find a window, but today I forgot to actually check for a window, which was really good considering I'm doing it Permadeath style. But it actually worked out fine. It actually worked out better. Anyway, we're dropping the booster stages and stabilizing myself with a bit of RCS. I don't need that much RCS for this kind of mission because, well, I'm just going to the moon. There's no docking or just for kind of stopping the rocket tipping over. So we're getting up to orbital velocity right now. There's I think a tiny bit of overheating, but nothing major. And this is about when I realise, oh god, I didn't wait for a window. But then realise, no, if I burn now, I can get Munar, and it'll be fine. And it goes pretty well. Now this is it's manoeuvring very well in the video, but at 1 times time accelerate, it wasn't brilliant with that booster stage on the bottom. but it worked out alright. And then flipped out here. Took me a while to get it back in control, but yeah, but it all went fine. Those 4 nuclear engines combined are actually surprisingly powerful, because nuclear engines getting to the moon, usually it's a long, arduous process, but it's a fairly light craft, and those 4s are fine. Yeah, and one thing I hate about the setup of my fueling, though, is I'm thinking, oh god, I'm running out of fuel, but actually it's because they all draw from the same tank, so, well, they draw most of their fuel from the same tank, so they actually only use up half of the fuel, and it looks on the little meter like you've used up 3/4, so it's worrying. And here I try and get a nice cinematic shot of my final glance at Kerbal, but it's too dark, so I give up and time accelerate around. You may notice some small glitchy bits in this video where the video's cut a bit. That's not because I died and changed anything, it's because I recorded it in 3 parts, because my screen recorder was being a bit rubbish. But I sorted it out now, so my next video should be fine. And I got my a video format converter working, because my main problem was I couldn't use my editing software because the formats just wouldn't work with it. So I've got my editing software working, so I can do 4 times speed, I can do a lot more things, I can do hopefully some more interesting videos. Anyway, here I'm coming in just standard retro burning, pulling my Apple Apps Apple Apps down, so I can just get it to a 30,000 meter orbit. Now you can get to a very low orbit around the moon, because obviously there's no atmosphere and you don't need that much ground clearance because it's low gravity. I'm not sure how low you can get it, but pretty low. But I take it here and inefficiently burn down that 40,000 meters here, 40,000 meters here, just trying to kind of get a nice landing on the dark side, kind of near that crater where I've put it down. Because I think I end up landing on the edge of the crater, but yeah. So I use this transfer stage to slow myself down and then drop it to let it explode, kind of suicide burn style, because I don't think the lander bit has actually enough delta V to fully perform a full slowdown and landing. But this shit setup I've used quite a lot of times, and you can see I'm just kind of killing my lateral velocity now, trying to make it vertical velocity. Vertical velocity, and just landing on this hill, and yeah, just keep switching to cockpit view to, well, partly for the radar altitude, which is really important, because they don't give you natural altitude out here, but radar altitude's actually your altitude to the ground. And now I've just dropped my stage and lowering my gear, as you can see my little craft that comes down nicely. But yeah, if you're landing on the surface, the normal altitude thing is to sea level, and obviously there isn't sea level on the moon, but it's to the lowest level. So just if you go to the cockpit, you can see part of the radar altitude, and you can see it's about 2,000 meters. So I kind of take it that 2,000 meters on my normal altitude above sea level is my actual altitude, and kind of. But you can see me going to the cockpit part for that, and partly to try and be cinematic without thinking I'm going to put this at 4 times speed, because a 45-minute video would be terrible. Anyway, you can see me with my little LB909 engine, which is more than powerful enough for this. I was thinking of stepping it down to some little radial ones, but they're not efficient. So anyway, really slowing down at about 150 meters above the surface. I have my landing lights on just for the fun of it, and actually because I forgot to turn them off, but it gives a nice effect, and a very soft landing. Yeah, now we're back to normal accelerate, and you see it's a bit jolty because I had. Oh no, it won't be jolty now, but possibly. And you'll be getting sound back on there because it takes it out in 4 times time accelerate. It just does. I'm low on my ladder, so Bill Kerman can get out. I thought it would be Jebediah Kerman, but some stuff happened and he died. What happened was my screen recorder completely killed itself after I actually had already recorded this video, and this is the second go. And the first one was more interesting because it all went pretty much like this, but I left time accelerate on with my parachutes and killed Jebediah Kerman. Yeah, so I'm sorry about that, but I would have uploaded it, but my screen recorder, when it was rendering to encoding, it went to 127% and just wouldn't bother with anything. So this is the second time with Bill Kerman who doesn't die, so that's less interesting for people watching, but a nicer ending. Anyway, planting my flag. I don't have a custom flag yet. I should probably make one. I just haven't got around to it. And I call this First Contact as a little Star Trek reference for you Trekkies. It's really laboured and pointless because I don't meet any Vulcans. This is just because I like the sound of it. First Contact, it sounded good. It's First Contact with the Munar service, so yeah. Anyway, the first Munar landing of Kerbal kind. That's very eloquent. I kind of wanted to change the game save and call this guy Neil Armstrong, but I didn't get around to it. Anyway, the mission flown by, spelling by, and then change it to capitalizing, because that's so important. Anyway, the mission flown by Bill Kerman, otherwise Bill Kerman. Anyway, we'll say the mission flown by Bill Kerman on the spacecraft Morpheus 1 or something. Yeah, flying the Morpheus 1 spacecraft. Yeah, I love the flag feature. I hadn't done very much interplanetary or lunar things before 0.20 came out, and you can see the nice flag. Anyway, but then I realised flags, I've got to put a flag on the moon, because I've only been there a few times. And on my personal save I actually have a really awesome moon base. I should maybe make a video about it. But yeah, anyway, here I decided I'll fly up in the air and see if I can see the wreckage of my little craft that slowed me down. I'm just looking for pack fuel. You actually almost have enough delta V in that pack fuel to get into orbit, but it never quite does it. Yeah, you have a lot of delta V in there. I think it's somewhere at 500 meters a second. Whereas, like, actual astronauts, I think on the shuttle they had something like 22 meters a second delta V, just for small things, for manually putting satellites into space, but they weighed a few £100, and that's a lot to get into space, especially on a shuttle. Considering it was $15,000 a kilo to get into space, they scrapped it and just used the robot arm, because the robot arm made sense. They have that on the space station now, which pulls in crafts like the Dragon spacecraft, which I launched on my Falcon 9 video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. And my Falcon Heavy, which I was really happy with my Falcon Heavy video. I like that. Anyway, I'm coming back down to the Munar service. You may be able to tell I haven't scripted this. I am just rambling randomly, but it's more fun and natural to ramble, so anyway. Yeah, you could make up a drinking game every time I say so anyway. Well, Hawk Gaming was always talking about how he says but anyway. I've turned into that. Anyway, I have a little jump around and a little twirl, and that goes nicely. And in a second I'll decide, oh, I'll jump at the cabin, and then I'll use RCS. And let's see how that goes. And my screen has just turned off. But yeah. No, here we go, it's back on, and yeah, I jump at it, I'm like, I'm not going to make it, I'll use RCS, fire at it, fall off, almost tip my spaceship over, so I could have been stranded on the moon and had to send another craft, have to make a new craft with a double lander can, because these new lander cans, whilst look nice and aesthetic, they only carry one person, and I've just lost my pride here. I'm like, I'll use the ladder, and I can't even get on the ladder very well. Oh, I jump anyway, because I'm badass. And yeah, I never actually opened those aerials on the top. I just put them there for the hell of it. Most of what's on this craft is for the hell of it, because why not? Yeah, maybe oh, it's about to go time accelerate and jolty, because you probably noticed that was a clip being added. But anyway, maybe I'll, because I did this probably not as efficiently as I could have, maybe I'll make a how could I have done this more efficiently video at some point. But probably not my next video, because that'd be boring if you want to see something. But there is a Moho window coming up, I found out, because I think I need to be at something like 250 minus, it needs to be at minus 251 degrees relative to me and Kerbal, the sun. So, and it's about 270 right now. I've done some calculations, and I make a little, okay, I've done some very basic calculations and looked on the internet at some things. And yeah, I'll maybe land a craft there. And it doesn't have a super... Anyway, I've just completed my orbit. I'll stop rambling for a while. And I'm actually in almost a perfect position for the return journey. Push it out, and then you just kind of burn back in. When you are coming back to Kerbin from the moon, burn on the side of Kerbin, so you're pushing out, so you can actually get your landing. Anyway, I think now I'm desperately looking for Kerbin so I can have a nice cinematic view, and I glance at it in the bottom corner. There it is. and this looked much nicer and more elegant in 1x time accelerate, but 45-minute video, you don't want to see that. Or maybe you did, but maybe to Moho. I think to Moho I'll do a series or something. Yeah, and Moho doesn't have a superheated atmosphere anymore, so I can land there nicely. There you can see on my little bottom thing, and I'm adjusting, trying to be as cinematic as possible. Just, you can see all my meters going crazy in the background. And I have time accelerated for most of this, but I do stop it for the re-entry, because re-entry effects at 3,000 meters a second are pretty impressive. It's something to behold. So yeah, we're back to normal time right now. Although I do 4 times on the game in a bit. But yeah, the re-entry effects right now in a bit are going to be pretty, well, pretty. And I do land in the ocean. I just missed a continent, which made parachute deployment easier. Well, not deployment, kind of figuring out when to turn off time accelerate. Anyway, what I was talking about, we've got the nice re-entry effects. You'll hear a roar fairly soon if I leave the sound on. And it just burns for ages, and you can see it inside the cabin, nice big pixels. But yeah, I'm really glad they added this kind of thing in 0.19. But yeah, maybe I should get a deadly re-entry and try this. Have to carry a heat shield. That wouldn't really go with my let's make it more efficient, because I did yeah, I like making efficient rockets. I made an entire game save dedicated to it, and then kind of gave up and made a moon base. But yeah, and a lot of my ships are based on SpaceX's ones. You can probably tell I have a little obsession with SpaceX and Elon Musk. He's one of my favorite people right now, because after PayPal he could have made a lot more money and instead decided, yeah, I'm going to change the world. Anyway, enough about SpaceX and my old videos. Check them out. What? But anyway, yeah, you can see the burnings happening, and my parachutes are deployed, which stops the burning. And in real life they'd be burnt off, but in KSP it's fine. And I'm about to accelerate into the ground in a bit, because falling is tedious, and you've all seen it. Anyway, yeah, this is 4 times time accelerate, I think. Yeah, you can tell by the lack of sound. And I'm about to, yeah, hit the water. I slow down for the splash and do the splash from the cockpit. I try to do a lot of cockpit things. One day I kind of want to do a whole flight just from cockpit, see if I could do it manually as an astronaut. Although nowadays it's just all computers that kind of does it, because... Oh, and there you see I slowed down time on the game for my parachutes, so I don't have another Jebediah incident. Maybe I should put a memorial on Moho for Jebediah coming, unless he flies the mission. That'll be embarrassing. I'll just kill him again. What? I mean, I'm not going to kill him again. What are you talking about? But seriously, maybe I should do that. Just yay. And I'm sure you would all much prefer to watch a horrible end, but now we get a nice landing and slow it down completely at 20 meters. So yeah, I think that was all very successful, although I almost destroyed my ship by flying into it. Yeah, I mean, I do like doing these kind of permadeath style ones. I want to kind of maybe do a whole permadeath space program, because I like the idea of things going wrong and maybe learning an air and just hit the water. You can see it from inside the cabin. It's not actually that glamorous. I should have used the bigger capsule where you can see everything. But anyway, yeah, so maybe I'll do a permadeath space program at some point, maybe when I have some more viewers or something. I do a series, or just do it more permadeathy, because I like the idea of having accidents, having to deal with them and things, rather than just reloading. But yeah, no, I do like flying to the moon. It's a lot of fun. It's actually harder, well, not harder, but more fuel consuming than getting to Minmus, because of escape velocities. But anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you like the video, like it. If you want to see more, please subscribe. This has been KSP with Tape. I will see you next time.